Hello and welcome to Talking Dogs on a Monday. Tonight we are going to be speaking about all things BoyleSports Champion Stakes. Of course, we will touch upon all the various top-class action throughout the country as well. But now, let's get straight into the Champion Stakes action. And as you can see, I'm joined by two contributors. And this morning, I must say, adding a bit of glamour to proceedings, we have Barry Drake. And of course, from BoyleSports, we have Sarah Kinsella. As predictable as hell. I really do aim to please. Barry, firstly, welcome back to the pod. It's great to have you from your Youghal base. Did you know, Sarah, that Barry is based in Youghal and he loves all things Youghal?
No way, I didn't know you're a Cork man, Barry. Genie.
No, yeah, it's the sort of thing you'd miss if you were watching these regularly. Sarah, it was great to be back at Shelbourne Park the other night. It's like your second home. You grew up around Shelbourne Park and Harold's Cross, and when you do get back into the place, it's I suppose it was quite emotional nearly.
Yeah, it actually was. It's just as soon as you arrive, and even driving in the car, you know, you're buzzing. Because it's been so long since I've been in there I was obviously there for the launch of the Derby, but I hadn't been there for a race meeting in months, probably in November, I think it was. So it was very exciting driving in the car, and like it's like you never even left though when you get there. You just go straight back into it. The action, the dogs coming off the track, doing such good clocks, the excitement, what price will he be for the Derby, what's he going to go for next? You know, you just sink right back into it, and that's the beauty of my job. I get to watch all the action, I get to report on social media, I get to keep everyone at home that's missing the action up to date and you know, looking at their favourite dogs winning and that sort of thing. So look, I was absolutely thrilled to be back, and I already can't wait to go in for the final now on Saturday.
Yeah, Barry, Sarah's like how would you say, an elephant that hasn't run in years and years, and all of a sudden he's thrown into the Olympic final. You know, the rest of us sort of venture back on a Tuesday evening when there's a few A5s and A6s. No, straight into the hot stuff with Sarah, the Champion Stakes, the Champion Plate, top class racing from start to finish. You were watching on, Barry, suitably impressed by all you saw on the track.
Yeah, most definitely. Look, it's always a fabulous competition, and we always look forward to it. And you know, outstanding sponsorship once again from BoyleSports and John Boyle and all the team. They've been, you know, great friends of Greyhound racing over the last number of years. So, as I said, it's always one of the highlights for me. And even John Boyle, he won €20 in the All Track Supporters Club Greyhound Lotto last week. So, John, I hope you didn't spend it all in the one shot, but thanks for your support. He's he's an amazing man.
Yeah, I heard he badly needed that 20 quid, so it came at the right time. Well, Damien Lonigan wasn't free this morning, so we do have Sarah. And Sarah,
second option.
the Champion Stakes. It kicked off in 1986. It was a competition that's been, you know, hit the ground running. It was a real success from the very start. It was initiated by a man called Bobby Jack, whose legacy lives on in the Champion Stakes. It's been won by some truly great greyhounds over the years, and it seems this year is going to be won by another great greyhound. And we saw 18 of Ireland's very best in action the other night. There were some obvious highlights. We'll go through the various heats, but anything that really caught your eye or that really made you smile?
Is that directed at me? Sorry.
Yeah, sorry, Sarah.
Yeah, sorry.
Damien's not here, you see.
Well, I can speak for Damien, so because Deadly Destroyer, he's after hammering him into 4-6 favourite. He was as big as 6-1 prior to his race on Saturday night. He clipped him into 9-2 just before his performance. Then he comes out and blasts from the traps, does 29.40, slashes him into 8-11, but that's not enough. He's now 4-6 favourite against a very, very hot field. You can't argue that it is a very, very short price, but look at what he did. He just came out of the traps on fire, 29.40, superb performance. You know, he deserves to be the favourite, and I think he deserves, I know he won the Champion 550 there a few weeks ago, but I do think he deserves a title like this. He's gone so close in competitions before, and Carl Ramsbottom obviously thinks very highly of this dog. And look, there's obviously money for him for the BoyleSports Irish Greyhound Derby already, because he's 16-1 now. He was 33s, you know, so people have a lot of hope and faith in this dog to make it big and go all the way and win the Derby. But to concentrate on the Champion Stakes on Saturday night, he really, really was impressive. And I'm sure he was for everybody else as well. But that's what you have to have in these competitions. That early pace is key, because I know we've seen some dogs coming from behind as well. But if he comes out like that in the final on Saturday night, the €20,000 is his.
Yeah, he probably doesn't even have to come away like that, given it's a race where there is a bit of a lack of early speed, Barry. Deadly Destroyer, rumour has it he started off down in Shelbourne Park.
Yeah, that's right. So we've been singing his praises now for quite some time, in fairness. And, when he was running in Clonmel in the Produce Stakes, we were all saying we were looking forward to seeing him at Shelbourne Park over 550 yards. It looked tailor-made for him, and that certainly was the case, because he's hit top form now in recent weeks. And in fairness, BoyleSports were offering, it's easier said than done after the race when he goes along and win, but 6-1 was a plenty big enough price on Deadly Destroyer, when you consider that even last week we were keeping him up as maybe our in our short list for the upcoming Irish Greyhound there. So I thought there was plenty of juice in that price. And it was another fabulous performance on Saturday night. He's obviously a Greyhound that's at the very top of his game, 29.40. Beautiful performance. And as you said, looking ahead to the final, so we'll discuss it shortly, but it doesn't seem to be that much early pace, and it's a perfect opportunity for him to do what he done on Saturday night. And if he hits the front, it's going to be near impossible to take him back, because he's so strong as well. Off that final bend and up the home straight, he really is a top class hound.
Yeah, you beat me to it there. I was going to say he's more than just early speed. He's a dog that has good early speed. He's good down the back, but it's where he hits the third bend. He really starts to turn the screw when he's in front. He really turns the screw. And most impressive is the night. Of course, he was in the opening semi-final, so we might as well just roll with it. That opening semi-final, of course, was down to 5 runners. Scooby Princess was off her food that day, so she wasn't just quite 100%. And they made the wise choice to withdraw her. You know yourself, if you're off your food and you're running that sort of heat, it's not going to end up well. She could have been fairly sick, but no, Scooby Princess was a non-runner. She'll be right as rain by next week, have no doubt about that. The race to the corner, Deadly Destroyer. Funny enough, at the time I thought, wow, away and gone, never touched. He's only 2 spots faster to Price's Jet to that opening line. Opens up a length into the opening corner. Pierno had shown really good early speed to get on his heels. Then at that point, checks off wide. Price's Jet, it's forced backwards. Romeo and Fires on the outside, but Deadly Destroyer held them, which was the main thing. Charged into that third bend, and then, as I said, kicked up the home straight to win in fine style. I thought Pierno ran a fantastic race in second spot. I think if Tommy O'Donovan can get him breaking like he did in the Open 600 earlier in the year, I think he'd be a big player in the Derby coming forward. I just think he's a dog where he is in October 18. I think he's just really getting to grips with the game. Price's Jet obviously ran a huge race in defeat. Great name that, who'd come in for strong support on the night, never really got involved in Romeo and Fire. Well, once he didn't lead, it was game over. But Sarah, Deadly Destroyer, as I said, he has it all. Starts, moves down the back, stays on strongly. You can see why punters came in from. But it was just yet another professional display. This isn't the first time we've seen it. That's 3 in a row now. He's done a 3:41, a 3:36, and I think he did a 3:40 the other evening. Just seems to be getting to grips with him. 550 yards at Shelbourne Park seems ideal.
Yeah, it's his trip, I want to see him run over further. I'd like to see him in the 600, or maybe he's running one already, I'm not sure, but I do think he's getting the grips of this game now. He's sharpening up, and look, 17:22 sectional as well with the 3:40 and the 29:40. Look, he has it all, and as you say, you can see why people are coming in for support now for the Derby, because they're trying to take advantage of the big odds, because they know if he wins this final on Saturday night, he's probably going to go into about 12s from 16s. He'll be cut again depending on what he can do, because look at the dogs that he's in again. Priceless Jet, as my dad always said years ago when we had plenty of greyhounds and plenty of options, running in a 750 and going back to a shorter trip, it seems to sharpen them up. And that was the case, I think, for Priceless Jet. Coming back from the 7, some people are like, oh, you're after running over 6 bends and he's dropping back to 4. I think it does wonders for a greyhound, and he proved just that. He's a fantastic greyhound. Probably was costly to follow, I'd say, early in his career. But when he went over to Toaster and done that track record, 29:03, I think it was, we started to see money again for him for the Irish Greyhound Derby. So it's all linked. Everything that these dogs are doing, people are starting to think of the bigger picture. Who's going to come win BoyleSports Irish Greyhound Derby? Priceless Jet, for me, is a massive price in the final. Damien Lonigan cut him into 5-1 from 16s. There's great support for him. He's a wide seat. He's perfectly drawn, and he's running out of his skin for Paul Hennessy. All of his dogs are running well. But Priceless Jet, just for me, is a dog that I'm really starting to fall in love with, especially since he started running in Toaster. So he's one for me to keep an eye on, and great value for the final.
Yeah, indeed. Barry, your thoughts behind Pirno and Price's Jet? Even great name that, and Romeo on Fire. It was never going to happen for Romeo on Fire once he didn't set the pace. I think Barry is actually after hanging on us. Either that or he's very, very, very still. While we're waiting for Barry to come back online, Sarah, we must mention, perhaps the greatest talking point of Saturday night was the fact that Carol Ramsbottom was wearing Crocs with socks. Now, I can't imagine there's any world where that is allowed. I think it should be illegal.
But you know what? I prefer the Crocs to the Jesus sandals, I have to say now. So, I mean, I'll give him brownie points for that. I tried to nab him for an interview on Saturday night before racing. And he said he has a superstitious kind of, he doesn't like being interviewed before a race because he was like, I think it ruins my chances of winning. So there you go. He comes out and wins. So maybe his superstitions are right. But hopefully I could be interviewing him now on Saturday night after winning the BoyleSports Champion Stakes. And if he's wearing those Crocs, I'll definitely get it in the picture.
It wasn't so much the Crocs. It was the fact that there was socks with them. Barry, would you wear Crocs with socks?
No, I would not.
You know what it is? It's to stop the sand getting in his feet, I'd say.
Yeah, I'd say if Barry lifts up his feet, you'd find something worse now, to be honest. Barry, Pirno and Price's Jet were in behind. Romeo on Fire didn't set the pace, so his goose was cooked from the early yards. Great name that, never really got involved. Price's Jet, obviously, we've spoken about him plenty of times before. He's a greyhound with immense pace and power. You have to love the way he's running. We thought he'd come out of the 750s with confidence. He ran like a dog with confidence the other night.
Yeah, ran very well, especially to get second because, he had the likes of Pirno and great name that in opposition were, really good runners as well. But I thought there was a lot to like about the performance of Pirno. As you pointed out already, I think there'll be more to come from him. He looked in need of that race outing, and I'm sure he'll strip fitter next time. He could be one at, big enough odds that could progress nicely through the Irish Greyhound Derby. We see him, run very well in the Shelbourne 600 at that time. So, ran a cracker and Priceless Jet. Look, he's always going to have a chance, but he'll have tough tasks ahead now as well. As a 5-runner affair the other night, that certainly would have aided his cause. But, he's probably around that just might be found wanting over this 550 yards. But look, it was a fantastic race that really set a high standard in Shelbourne on Saturday night.
Yeah, the second semi-final of the BoyleSports Champion Stakes featured Ballymacfairwan, who had been the anti-post favourite. Sarah, he missed the kick, which I suppose could be expected after been racing a toaster, different mechanism, different sort of timings, missed the kick, but did show good speed to get involved behind Clara Icon, who absolutely flashed from boxes. You have to nearly take a double take in your commentary. But Clara Icon, once he led, was never going to be picked up. He's been a tremendous performer for Robert Gleeson and Gary Hicks, of course. He was fourth in last year's Derby, producing a series of unbelievable finishes through the BoyleSports Irish Greyhound Derby. He went to the English Derby. Didn't quite happen for him. He did run well in our first round or two. Has been had a spell in the UK, returned back to Ireland, and only recently returned to the track. He probably needed his latest run. He probably needed this run, but he still won from the front in 29. Was it 74 or 75? 29.74, I believe. He's a seriously fast greyhound, Sarah. But like all, I suppose, were you as surprised to see him turning in front as we were?
When you look back at his price, he was only 3-1, so. There was the bookies obviously didn't really want to lay him either. Do you know what I mean? So they knew he had that ability. And Gary Hicks himself is saying that he's a different dog this year. So whatever did something just come over him in England and something clicked and or did he have an injury and I don't know, but he's definitely a different dog. We never really seen him lead like that. Even throughout the Derby last year, he was always kind of coming from behind, wasn't he? So it was great to see him actually perform like that, and it kind of makes you think why he's the price he is for the final. He's the 12-1 outsider. You know what I mean? Against a seriously hot field. Again, look, you could make a case for all of these finals saying they're great value, but 12-1 is pretty big, cut from 16-1. But look, yeah, he was very, very good on Saturday night. But Ballymacfairwan, I kind of regret tipping him then in my Irish Daily Star column because like that, he's still a young dog. He only had a handful of races around Shelbourne Park. Okay, he done 28-26 or whatever it was in his first race at Shelbourne Park. But coming back from England might have been too soon. I don't know. Look, he still ran a good race, don't get me wrong, and he still has the Derby to look forward to. But I think he was up against it, all that experience on Saturday night, and it just showed. And Clara Icon, you can take nothing away from him and the machine as well. I mean, you could sit here all day admiring the pace that dog has. And I was speaking to Damien Matthews before the race, he said, look, he came out of the UK, not a bother on him, and unlock as well. She's having a litter of pups, and he's looking forward to a team as well for the Derby. But Clara Icon, I think, couldn't go wrong sticking a tenner on him at 12-1 for the final on Saturday night.
Yeah, Barry, Clara Icon. Visually, it looked like he flashed from boxes, made every inch. Obviously, his sectional's way behind Deadly Destroyer. He did a 3:57. It was a race where there was, with the exception of the middle two, Ballymac Fairone and Zoom, there was no massive early speed in it. They didn't get the kick. Clara Icon did. He led into the corner. Ballymac Fairone, I thought, ran well. In normal circumstances, as Sarah says, he's going to get away with it. He's going to be second. You're going to go, listen, he's going to come on aside for the final, and he'll be a short enough price. Fortunately, he had the machine in behind him. Once again, he just leaves you sort of jaw-dropped sort of pace from the second bend. He arrived with a rush up the home straight. He's a stride away from winning, and by the escape, he's gone 6 clear. The machine is clearly in good heart, and he's a greyhound that you always have to take seriously.
Without a doubt. And I think, like many across the country, we can't wait to see him stepping up in trip, because I think that was his first competitive outing over 550 yards. Obviously, he had that really flashy pull around Shelbourne Park, but that was his first race, I think, over 550.
The old y'all Wi-Fi is letting Barry down at the moment. Barry, you're breaking up there for a second.
He's a greyhound, as we've seen, over further.
Do you agree with all that, Sarah?
Yeah, 100%. You could be saying anything and I'll agree.
You're breaking up there, Barry. We didn't hear all that much of it. Just the remainder of the field. We have to give a mention to Boylesports King. This fellow is having just his third start since winning since running up the Derby in 2019 to Linson Bocco. Dolores Ruth was happy with where he was after his 28:30 trial. Last week's run, he did 29:94 in defeat behind Romeo Magico. It was an encouraging enough run. He was only fourth the other night, doing 30:11, but he's beating home the likes of Zoom and Oran Don. Slowly but surely, might just be finding a little bit of form. He is in October 17, so you can't expect all that much from him. He may never be the dog he was, but he is showing encouraging signs. We won't just give up on him yet, Sarah.
No, but as you say, like, he's coming behind from Zoom and Oran Don. Zoom, that was his first time over that trip, so I wouldn't look too much into that. And Oran Don is kind of a veteran now at this stage, isn't he? He's
like myself.
Yeah, but I didn't want to say, But look, it's still encouraging, obviously, and Dolores wouldn't be bringing him back to the track if she didn't think that he was well able for it, and it's a serious feat as well, considering he hadn't ran since 2019. So it's fantastic to see him back. And look, I hope he comes on leaps and bounds and runs really well in the Derby for John Boyle. But it wouldn't be a dog I'd be backing to win the Derby, but you never know. Do you know what I mean? Like,
it's just encouraging to see him back after such a long layoff and whatnot. It just goes to show the real pedigree in this contest. Of course, Clara Icon, who was fourth in last year's Derby final, beating the machine who went so close in the Kirby, and Ballymac Fairone, the beaten English Derby favourite, back in third spot. Just shows the high quality of the greyhounds you're speaking of. The third heat was a bit of a muddling affair. I'll start with you here, Barry, because there is a bit of southern form on show. Skywalker Barry and Broadstrand Ryan, when I saw the draw, I was immediately concerned for both of them. They're both sort of similar in terms of their early speed and the way they're going to go to the corner, probably wanting the same pitch, and they did clash. Sizzler went up fast on the outside. Another one with Cork connections, of course. Marion Maloney, he was on the wide outside. Beach Avenue was a very close fourth, and then Ballymac Wild and Catch Me Flying. Catch Me Flying never really got involved after missing the kick. It was an interesting race. Ballymac Wild came through to win this. The obvious, the race changed complete complexion at the opening corner with Skywalker Barry and Broadstrand Ryan clashing. All of a sudden, Sizzler stays wide. Beach Avenue is forced to check wide. And all of a sudden, Ballymac Wild, who was in a pocket at the time, took a step right and went around dogs. It was like, I've been here, done that, worn the T-shirt. It was the maneuver of a greyhound that just knows exactly what he's about. He found himself a very close second off the second bend behind Sizzler. And thereafter, there was only going to be one winner. Firstly, Barry, your thoughts on the maneuver, and secondly, how good is Ballymac Wild?
He's a remarkable greyhound, isn't he? Look, he's picked up tons of experience over the last year or so, competing in all the big competitions, all those major finals, and it really wouldn't have been the same if Ballymac Wild hadn't have made that final. for next week, and it's great to have him in the lineup. Liam Dowling, of course, no stranger to big race success. It was just a top class performance once again. Beach Avenue is a greyhound as well that has got loads of followers all over social media channels in recent times. So he's another great finalist, and the stage is set now for next Saturday night, and it's going to be one hell of a final.
Yeah, the two dogs in question, Ballymacwild and Beach Avenue, Sarah, they'd be well up there now amongst my very favourite greyhounds. Beach Avenue, it was great to see him qualifying for the Healy family. Another major final for him at Shelbourne Park. I think it's his track. I think if I owned him, you can bring him down for the laurels at the end of the year, but Shelbourne Park is his track, and he do his vast majority of racing there.
Yeah, you can never go wrong. He's so consistent, isn't he? Like, as I think you put up on Twitter there recently, I think 7 out of the 8 competitions he's ran in, he's made final. So now it's 8 from 9 now.
Well, that's Ballymacwild.
Who are we talking about?
Beach Avenue, I was talking about.
Beach Avenue, yeah. Pat Healy and the boys, they started off with greyhounds with us actually back in the day. We had a bitch called Late Again for them, who was a sister to the X Factor.
Was it named after you?
Well, no, my dad's always late for everything. But no, look, he's some greyhound to own, isn't he? He's extremely exciting. That rush of pace, you always kind of know he's going to get there in the end to qualify. And look, he's been the bridesmaid a good few times. I'd love to actually see him win a big title, and he deserves a big title like this because he's getting on in age. Do you know what I mean? So look, the lads in Ashburn are absolutely over the moon with this dog. They can't believe their luck, and he's running out of his skin for Paul Hennessy. As I said earlier on, his dogs are running so well. So I'm a big fan of Beach Avenue. They call him Rory in the kennels at home, and they all love him. He's a pet, and I was actually seeing him on Saturday night after his race, and he's a fabulous looking greyhound as well to add to it all. So look, his stud career is going to be exciting too, isn't it? Like, because the pace that he has, bring an early pacer to him, I'm sure you never know.
Yeah, you never know indeed. He is the type of dog you could bring a bitch to, all right. So too is Ballymacwild, however. This fellow, as you said, Sarah, just a remarkable performer. He ran up the Champion Stakes last year. He was second. He was a 10-to-1 chance that time. He won't be a 10-to-1 chance this time. He'll be about half that price, but he's a greyhound that just seems to know the game. The other night, that manoeuvre at the opening corner was just so telling. It was just the manoeuvre of a greyhound that's been there, done that at the big stage, and thereafter he has the pace to back it up.
Yeah, and he's 11-2 to win the final now. He was 10-1 before the semi-final. So this greyhound, as I said, he's so consistent. He's been in so many finals. He has the experience. He knows what he's doing, and he's very clever because he can see these pockets and see the space. He knows where to go. He's been around the track probably more times than any of the dogs in this final. So look, he's terrific greyhound to have. He's nearly €50,000 in prize money won, probably more if it can take in the English Greyhound Derby prize money as well. So he's a fantastic greyhound to own. He's a great servant for Ballymac Kennels. And look, I wouldn't be surprised if he won on Saturday night because I think this greyhound has it all, and I wouldn't be surprised if he made the BoyleSports Irish Greyhound Derby final again either, because he's just, consistency is key.
Yeah, he's a sort of dog, Barry, that if he takes in a major competition, you're sort of nearly just expecting him to go to the final. What we've seen him already this year, getting to the English Derby decider, winning the Shelbourne Open 600. He won the Juvenile Classic last year. He's a finalist in the Derby, the Ledger, the Kingdom Derby, second in Champion Stakes. He's just one of those greyhounds. His list of achievements is pretty remarkable, and yet people say he is a bit of a nearly dog. He's won two classics. You can't do much more. The final itself, looking at them: 1 Deadly Destroyer, 2 Ballymacwild, 3 The Machine, 4 Calara Icon, 5 Priceless Jet, and 6 is Beach Avenue. I think it's safe to say we're all expecting Deadly Destroyer to lead up the inside. Is that a nod of heads, everyone? Yeah. I think that's fair. And then it's a case of what turns second and third. Judging on the last night, you'd expect Calara Icon to be prominent at the bend. Ballymacwild will certainly be thereabouts, and maybe second spot with the inside line in his favor. Price's Jet to the 342 the other night, and then you have Beach Avenue, The Machine. It's a remarkable final in the sense where Deadly Destroyer, in normal circumstances, if he set the pace, would be a certainty. Now his price would suggest he's pretty close to that, but just so happens that if Ballymacwild or The Machine or Price's Jet or Beach Avenue turn on his heels, it's not quite a certainty then.
No, there's way too much pace in this race. He's going to have to open up a really big lead, isn't he, if he's going to because if you have like that, the Machine or Beach Avenue coming at you from behind, oh, that's the longest run in home when you're in front. You know what I mean? So look, Deadly Destroyer is easy to tip at 4 to 6, isn't he? But I'm gonna go with Ballymac Wild. I'm gonna go for a bit of value at 2. I just think he's well drawn, and I think he has a little bit more early. He's probably the best early pace after Deadly Destroyer. So with a bit of luck, Deadly Destroyer might miss the kick, because he has missed it in the past around Shelbourne Park. So they're not machines. They're not going to get it right every week. I'm going to go with Ballymac Wild for Team Dowling.
Well, they're not machines except for the Machine. Barry, the final Deadly Destroyer is the one to beat. A 2-length lead would be good enough off the second bend. I don't care what dog goes in behind it, because he is so strong, but it's a case of getting those 2 lengths if you did miss the kick. Now, I know you'll be shouting for Carol Ramsbottom. You're a big fan.
Yeah, look, definitely. Look, I'm a big fan of the dog as well, in fairness. Trap 1 mightn't be absolutely ideal for him in a normal Saturday night at Shelbourne Park, because he will take a step or two to the right. But in a race that, lacks early pace, I think he can kind of slightly cheat the draw and lead. And if he goes around a length and a half in front, he'll kick on down the back. He will win. I think he's very strong in front. I think people might slightly underestimate how strong he is in front, and I couldn't see anything coming behind him.
Yeah, it's the sort of race that, it'll never be over until it's over. Given the power and pace that's involved, I'm really looking forward to it. Of all the Champion Stakes through the years, I've never seen a race quite with this type of makeup. You always have the 2 or 3, maybe even 4 greyhounds that can go up to the corner, flash around, and it's the battle for early supremacy. In this race, we're all sort of conceding that Deadly Destroyer is the one to beat into the opening corner. But there's no certainties in life, and there's no certainties in greyhound racing. And depending what dog turns second, this race could go right to the wire. It's a cracking renewal, and that'll be the feature at Shelbourne Park on Saturday night. We'll touch upon the champion place, Sarah, because I think there was just a little bit of tactical maneuvering here. 1 or 2 of these, I think, were asked to go in the plate, or they asked to go in the plate rather than the Champion Stakes itself. Jack's Little Thing wasn't one of them. He was entered for the Champion Stakes, I heard, but didn't quite get in. An argument to suggest he should have. Certainly the way he ran in the second semi-final, winning in 29.40, a switch to a middle seed. He was out on the outside, really seemed to suit him.
Yeah, and when I was making my notes, that's the first thing I put down. The middle seed really suits this dog. He just ran a different race, and I'm delighted to see him at 29.40. That's the exact same time as Deadly Destroyer. So yeah, he probably should be in the Champion Stakes rather than the plate, and a big prize, 20 grand to 2.5 grand. But look, 29.40. He ran terrific. You could hear the roars from the boys up in the stand. I got a picture of them afterwards. Well, I presume it was them that was roaring. Anyway, so they were over the moon, and he's aptly named, isn't he? Because they're always slagging Jack's Little Thing. That's what he's named after. So we get a bit of skid out of that as well. But delighted for the boys. Look, he's what price did we make him? We have him now at 11 to 10. He was 5 to 1 going into the semi-final. So he's 11 to 10 favourite. He's in trap 5. It'll suit him. He's the one to beat if he comes out, just like Deadly Destroyer. It's easy to tip these guys with the early pace. But look, I think this dog is a little cracker, and I think the more he races around Shelbourne Park, the better he's getting.
Yeah, Barry, for a long way, it looked like Droopy's Yes was containing him. Jack's Little Thing is very strong. You would have seen him down at Clonmel, of course. Being Clonmel correspondent, he really was one of the stars of the rural Hawaii. It stood on race stake down there at Clonmel. It was clear from the early yards, or from the early stages in his career, he was going to be a real 550-yard greyhound. That comes in the breeding as well. A son of Droopy Sydney out of Limini, who has produced real strong types. This fellow has as much pace as he does strength. But you've known from the early yard or the early stages he was going to be a pretty fast greyhound.
Yeah, sure. Winning that Roar Hawaii at stud on race stake is always a good indication of a greyhound's future, and he won that in style. And that was a really likeable performance on Saturday night, because, as you said, Johnny Linnan's Troopy's dog, who had won, I think, in 29.42 the previous time, set a strong early pace up front, and to come from behind and win so convincingly in the end. It was a really taking performance from a greyhound that is another big Derby contender for the Pillar Syndicate. They had a finalist in Devil in the Satchel a couple of years ago, and they'll have high hopes going forward for this greyhound. And just to correct you, actually, for the second time, Ian, Peter Farrell is the Clonmel correspondent, and I think earlier you said that pair enough in a second, so you're having a rough old morning here on this podcast.
Oh wow, God, crucify me. That's the worst mistake I've ever made. Looking behind him, Droopy's, yes, he's still a puppy. I know he's in August 19, the same age as Jack's Little Thing, but he is still quite puppyish. He's what I'd call a soft galloper, in a sense where you can still see he's not quite moving with the real purpose that will come. But he's improved every time he's gone to the track. He ran so well the other night up to that third bend where he just stayed to the middle of the track and didn't really drive it. In contrast, Jack's Little Thing drove it. And just before that third bend, there is a BoyleSports sign on the wall. In fairness, there's about 55,000 of them. I think Sarah's responsible for that. But from that point to turning for home, he took 5 lengths off Droopy's Yes. He went into it nearly 2 lengths behind, and he entered the home straight 3 lengths in front. Jack's Little Thing ran an incredible corner. Droopy's Yes, not so much. And I suppose he nearly got a shock when he saw the other dog shooting up his inside and going through with such purpose. But Droopy's Yes is a dog that has a bright future. He's won 4 of his 8 to date, and we still have yet to see the best of him. Michael Dunphy and Johnny Linehan can start planning a campaign for this fellow, and it's going to involve the Derby.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, without a doubt. Look, he's lightly raced, and sorry, Sarah, we'll see him progress, and that's one thing for sure, because he's with the right Johnny Lynn. He knows he would have had this plan for time, and as you might about his performance.
You're breaking up again there, Barry. Sarah,
Yeah.
a talented tracker, ran well. I must mention Amadeus Luke back in third spot for Charlie and Justin Colgan. He's only beaten 2 lengths by Droopy's Yes in third spot. He was a big price. He'd be a big price in the final, but he's a dog that's really running well and a member of a very fast litter.
Yeah, 100%. Just to go through the prices there, we have Droopy's Yes at 100 to 30, and that Amadeus Luke is the 20 to 1 outsider cut from 33. So look, he has a lovely bit of pace, doesn't he? And he's got a bright future, same as Droopy's Yes. I remember watching him when he started off his career down in Kilkenny, I think it was. And like, I actually was speaking to one of Linehan's owners there on Saturday night that owns the Galvarino, Kira, name is. And they're very excited about this Droopy's Yes dog. They think he's got an extremely bright future, and obviously it's all systems going. And no matter what happens on Saturday night, the Derby is the main plan. Obviously, he's a bit young, but sure, look, you have to run him in it. What else can he go and you'd run him in it, see what happens. But yeah, I'm very excited about Droopy's Yes. But in saying that, Jack's Little Thing went by him nearly too easy, didn't he? Like, considering Droopy's Yes had the 29.42, you'd have to kind of scratch your head and go, why was he able to go by him that easy? So I don't know, maybe the lack of experience with Droopy's Yes, I don't know, but I think there's definitely more to come from him anyway.
Yeah, I think it was the point in the race that he caught him, and he was just sort of staying off the middle of the track. By the time the dog had gone through, it was like, oh, and it sort of nearly caught him unawares. The opening semi-final, you mentioned Galvarino, Sarah, but Barry, Johnny Linehan with a good winner here, Galvarino. This was a strange race, to say the least. I suppose it came down to the fact that Fabulous Azura was having her first run in quite some time. She did seem to hold up proceedings at the head of affairs when she was sort of coming back to them from the third bend. No green dye, didn't get a run when he needed it, because he is very strong. I thought he was going to be a winner into the third bend. In the end, Galvarino came around the outside to hit the front, but then had to hold on from Derby's Delight, who was absolutely hammering up the home straight. It was a thrilling finish, went to a short head, but Galvarino, another good winner for Johnny Linehan.
That's right, yeah, and he's a greyhound that has improved nicely over the last couple of weeks. He had some nice form around Shelbourne Park doing a fight down there around 29.92, but this was certainly a step up in class, and a real nice performance. He's a very strong running dog. I think we'll see the best of him over slightly further. Probably doesn't get the 750, but over 600 yards, I'm sure he'll have a big future ahead. And that Derby's Delight, Neelis O'Connell's ground. Anytime I watch him run, he shows unbelievable pace. Another fight, yeah, it was an exciting finish for sure. And I think you had to hand it over to the judge for that one, Ian.
You know yourself, just to be sure. Sarah, Galvarino, he is very strong, a nice winner. He is going to be a big enough price for the final. By all accounts, if you look through his card, he probably doesn't have the early pace for this type of company going forward in terms of a derby. But as Barry said, when he does step up to a 575 or 600, perhaps Johnny Linden might bring him back to Shelbourne Park for the likes of that. He's a dog that could clock something pretty special, you'd imagine.
Yeah, look, he's 12-1 to win this final on Saturday night, but there was as you said at the start there, it was a kind of a strange race, wasn't it? Like, and he got up in the dying moments, I suppose, and he's obviously, you can't really know what his potential is because it was a funny race. But look, not to take anything away from the dog, 29-4, that was only his 11th race, so there's still more to come from him, obviously. Derby's delight for Conor Byrne. I was talking to him after the race on Saturday night. Like, I think this dog only got a wide seat recently, didn't he? And I think it's bringing an improvement to him out in the wide seat. But look, he came home like a train, and I just love to see this dog actually fly from traps to see what he could do, because I do think he's a very talented greyhound. He done some good performances down in Limerick, the Conor Kirby. I think it was the second round. He done a huge run. So I'm excited to see what he can do for the future as well. And he's a good price. He's 7-2 to win the final.
I would have said that Derby's Delight actually did get his best start the other night. Barry, he was prominent on the outside. I think he was waiting for trouble. I think he's had plenty of it. I'm not sure where he wants to be, whether the outside, the inside. I think he needs the right makeup of a race, but I think he's had plenty of bother on that opening corner. I just think he lost more ground than he should have lost. Now, as it is, he has an unbelievable engine. You know, he's massively fast from the second corner. You saw that the other evening. But it is a slight concern. Certainly if you were, you know, from a punting point of view, it would be a concern. He's just a little bit wary of traffic at the moment, it seems.
Yeah, definitely. Look, there's just a couple of incidents where he has got into a bit of trouble, and probably needs to sharpen up a small bit. But it'll be interesting to see how he'll get on from the wide seat going forward.
Yeah, a couple of clean runs would definitely bring his confidence back again, though, Sarah. So we won't just go ruling him out. As you say, he's only a 7-2 chance for the final. I suppose that's down to his pure pace.
Yeah, like if you watch the replay, as you say, he did break well, but you could see him easing back going into the first bend, taking it, going, oh, what's going to happen to me here? So he's probably wrapping himself in cotton wool maybe a little bit too much.
That sounds like me when I go back into the pub now this week. I'll be easing myself in, going, whoa, who am I kidding? I'll be straight to the bar.
Right? Does the Pope have a balcony? But yeah, look, he definitely eased going into the first bend. So that would kind of 7-2. Look, probably is a bit short, to be fair. But Jack's Little Thing at 11-2 is the one for me. I'm
11-10. I'll take 11-2 if you want offers.
11-10. I'm sorry, my thing was covering me. 11-10. I'm going to go with Jack's Little Thing from Trap 5 to win the final. Because it'll be a good consolation, seeing as he didn't get into the Champion Stakes itself. So I'm rooting for Jack's Little Thing for the boys, the Pillar Syndicate.
My concern for Jack's Little Thing is his not his sister, his kennel companion, Fabulous Azura in Trap 4. She went up fast the other night. We saw how talented she was earlier in the year, Barry. She'll come on a sight for last week's run. She looked like she badly needed it. Yeah,
definitely. Look, she'll improve a lot. We see her post some fabulous performances already in her career, most notably some of them performances down in Limerick. So look, much more to come, and another exciting greyhound going forward.
Yeah, if she does hold up Jack's Little Thing in the early yards, could Droopy's Yes get to that third bend in front? It's a case of if he gets around that third bend in front, it might be enough. What do you think, Sarah?
Yeah, I think you're dead right. Yeah, I think that'll do his confidence the world of good too, if he can manage to get that done. But look, just based on the way Jack's Little Thing ran at the semi-final, look, I just think he's the one to beat. But yeah, if you want to go for a bit of value, Droopy's Yes is 100-30.
Now, before we talk about Sarah's beloved agent Stanley and the Bar 1 Irish Sprint Cup, we're going to get Barry to give us a mention of the Shelley Fennelly Memorial the other night. Again, it's been a tremendous competition. Billy's Diva, though, was the star, Barry.
Yes, she sure was. It was a fabulous competition, and we were so excited when we see the likes of Billy's Diva and amazing Alice in the lineup this year, and they're the two rounds that will be going into the final. At the head of the market, Billy's Diva got the job done from trap number 1 as she was expected to do on Saturday night. It was a fine performance, 29.52 on the clock. Amazing Alice had a really tough draw, trap number 5 for Patrick Guilfoyle. And she done extremely well to finish second, short plenty of pace in the field as well. 2.5 lengths difference at the line. But if you owned one of them greyhounds, you'd be more than happy with their performance on Saturday night. The second semi-final was a bit of an upset here. Gertown Click win for the O'Leary kennel. It was a nice performance because she's only a January puppy and she was only having her 5th career outing, 30 on in the clock. Another really, really exciting prospect. But looking ahead to the final, trap number 1, Amazing Alice, that's a good draw for her. Patrick Guilfoyle will be delighted with that, but I'm going to stick with trap number 4, Billy's Diva, for the Kennedy family. It'd be nice to get a bit of silverware, and we'd be more than happy to give it to her down in Cork on Saturday night.
Yeah, absolutely. You love to see your stars down at Curraheen Park before they come back to Shelbourne Park
We do,
to their natural home, to the capital,
You're trying to take them all out, Cork. You said Dromana Bucco won't be in Cork again. You're on about Beach Avenue staying up in Shelbourne Park after he coming down and winning a lovely 5-7-5 in Cork. We'll have to take you down to Cork for a weekend, Ian.
You can take me down
Soften
to Cork. Just don't bring our greyhounds. Just speaking of Dromana Bucco, he trialled at Shelbourne Park the other night. He did 28.07. He did 15.92 to the third bend off 2.18. That is rapid. This is a greyhound with unlimited ability. I know he has very, very little experience, Sarah, but I would imagine he's pretty much up there on your lists in terms of the anti-post betting for the BoyleSports Irish Greyhound Derby.
Yeah, for sure. He's already into 14-1 from 25. So I think that speaks for itself, doesn't it? Really, he's
that basically tells us, Barry, we missed the boat.
We missed the boat, exactly.
Yeah.
Look, it's still a good price, but if you look at it, like Ballymac Ariel and Explosive Boy are the 12-1 joint favourites, and then you have him at 14-1. So probably is a bit short, isn't it? But sure, you could make that case for any of the Derby winners down through the years. Like I was talking to Eamon Reynolds there on Saturday night, and he had backed New Taylor at 50-1 to win the Derby anti-post early doors, obviously. So look, these people are lucky when they get on the prices, but he was 25s, which is still very short to be honest. So look, 28.07, I watched the trial. He actually checked a little bit going into the third bend, and he still did 28.07. So he's very, very exciting dog to have in your kennel. And look, we'd be dying to see him run now whenever his first race will be. He'll obviously try and get a few runs in before the Derby, but I can't wait to see him over the 550.
Do you hear that, Barry? When his first race will be, like Sarah's not even counting the Curraheen
first
Park
race,
form.
like before the Derby. I mean, you know what I mean. To get a few runs under his belt. I don't like to see these young dogs going into the Derby with little experience. You want to see them have a few runs before the Derby. Of course. That's what I meant.
Do you think they'll give him a race before Derby?
If he was mine, I would. I think it can only benefit him. Give him a run from the 550-yard boxes. That'd be my view. And see how he goes. It's still what 2.5, 3 weeks until the Derby starts. So yeah. I'd give him a run. He's only had the 3 starts. By all accounts, he just looks like 550 yards is going to be tailor-made for him. He really runs to the winning line. He's certainly running to the third bend. I can tell you that. So I'd give him the benefit of a run. He has to go to Derby because he's in August 19. Where else do you go with him? He's just a little bit too old for the juvenile Derby, and there's no real competitions for him. So full steam ahead for the Derby. Mike Banderak and Mark O'Donovan can start dreaming of further Derby success or further, glory with Dromana Bucco. We'll move on because we are going to touch on the sprinters from Saturday night. We have to let Sarah start. Agent Stanley evoked memories of a dog. I don't know if you remember him, called Aho Tony, which was trained by Mary and Skippy Gilbert a few years ago. He ran well in the Bar 1 Irish Sprint Cup. He was favoured to win the final. He ended up finishing 4th, but he was a dog that was absolutely electric from boxes. Every night you could set your watch by him. His best ever sectional was 7:02. Guess what Agent Stanley did the other night, Sarah? 7:02. I'm not sure it was even in the boxes or was Skippy standing on the outside pushing him, because he was 3 clear after a stride.
He absolutely bolted it. I don't think I've ever seen a greyhound come out of the traps as fast, and there probably is a faster sectional, is there? What is the fastest sectional in Dundalk?
I think there might be a 7 seconds. I don't know if there's a 6:99, but the 7:02 is pretty special considering the runs we've seen this year already, and I think 7:12 is the second best time.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely exceptional. I absolutely adore this greyhound, and myself and Damo have had a bit of a skid about this dog over the last few months because I kind of tipped him up in the Kirby. right? And I think he was like 66 to 1. He could have been bigger. And Damon was like, no chance, no chance, no chance. And as the rounds
Don't be landing Damo in it now. Pat Flanagan going to be watching this.
oh no, sure, I get things wrong all the time. But he was like, as the heats were going on, we were doing Zooms every week, and he was like, oh my God, I have to put my hands up. He says, I did not think this dog would do what he's doing, like, and make the Kirby fun. And then, of course, he ran so well in the first few rounds of Produce Stakes as well. So I've fallen in love with this greyhound in his first few races around Shelbourne Park because I'm just massive fans of Mary and Skippy Gilbert anyway, and I love seeing them with really good dog and competition dog, and this is exactly what he is. Okay, the 550 might be a stretch for the Derby if he goes to it, but at the moment he's got a massive chance to win this bar one, and I'm rooting for them. I hope he does it. 2089, not too far off the track record. The track record's 2073 or something, isn't it, by Brody's Magic, who's missing his kick lately, running on well. But I love the 400 trip. I love Dundalk. That's where we're racing over the last God knows how long, because it's too hard to win in Shelbourne Park. Dundalk is our place. We had a travel there a few weeks ago with the Litter brothers from Brewer Sarah. So I love Dundalk. I love the 400, and I love Agent Stanley.
Yeah, Agent Stanley, what a greyhound he has been for them, Barry. Like, I saw him at the start of the year, and the back end of last year around Shelbourne Park, he looked a really nice dog. It looked like a dog that would win any amount of A1s, mini opens. He has taken off. I think the switch to the Kirby was great for him and really made a man of him. We saw him in Clonmel, and now we see him at Dundalk. If he goes to the final in Dundalk, he won't be in the Derby. I think Pat Flanagan, Erwin Burkmeyer, Mary and Des would take that. I think they'll be happy to get to this final with Agent Stanley. And by all accounts, if he keeps starting like that, he'll be very, very close.
That's for sure. And I can remember you speaking to one of the connections there. It was a great interview, I think, a couple months ago. But Agent Stanley, that was a serious performance. He exploded from traps and, put on one of the performances of the weekend. And, they're great sporting connections. Always great to hear the Mr. Gilbert speak in an interview. So look, it was top class appearance.
Yeah, the other dog we're going to mention, or the next dog we're going to mention, is Good Cody. He looked an absolute superstar in Clonmel in the Produce Stakes. I'm sure Peter Farrell would have been writing about him at that time, Barry. Good Cody has a massive run around Clonmel. His splits to the third bend were unbelievable. But this 400-yard trip, you need to have four bend speed, and Good Cody certainly does. 2091 off a slower start than Agent Stanley. It's very clear that this is a very, very special greyhound. They didn't try him over the 550 yards yet, and if he goes through this competition, he won't be in the Derby. I think that's a bit disappointing. But by all accounts, he's a massive player in the Bar 1 Irish Sprint Cup.
Yeah, mightily impressive performance. Could prove great decisions from the Kennedys to run him in this competition. He had a really good dog in his inside on Saturday night. Droopy's Good, who has posted some really impressive performances in recent outings. So I thought it was, another sizzling display. And, he's going to take plenty of stock, in this competition. He's a really exciting greyhound. He posted, some marvellous displays down in Clonmel. He was a bit unlucky with a tough draw in the final, but he's a cracking greyhound with huge early speed, and no surprise to see him now towards the head of the market for this competition.
Yeah, Sarah, he's in October. He's very young, but he's very exciting. I put it to you that he is potentially as fast a dog as there is in the country to the third bend over four bends, and he's potentially as fast a dog as there is in the country over 400 yards too.
Yeah, look, he's exceptional, isn't he? Again, another exciting greyhound to have in your kennel. He's already 25 to 1 for the Derby, if that's the route he goes, if he gets knocked out of this early, but I doubt he will. He done 2092, I think, in the first round, 2091 there on Saturday night. No wrong, he just needs to keep breaking, and he'll secure his place in the final with ease. Because with those type of performances, look, imagine him and Agent Stanley going into the first bend together. My money be on Stanley, though.
Good Cody. All I can say is that I don't think we'll see him in the Derby, but I think we'll see him at the Juvenile Derby, and whatever beats him might just be the winner. Looking at the rest of them, there was three greyhounds that did 21:02, three very fast greyhounds. Butsy's Bengal hit the lids the other night, Barry. So too Long Santiago, a double for Jerry Holy, and two winners in 21:02. And Shomra Nate, 21:02, of course, also winning in fine style, beating Ballymac Rule, who suffered just his second career defeat. Three fast greyhounds. Any of them you think could go all the way, or could they all potentially go close?
Sure, look, they're all lively contenders, and they've all been great servants for their connections. Have a bit of a soft spot for Shelbourne and Nate. That was the battle of the Kerry trainers there, with Liam Dowling, with Ballymacroon, and Chris Houlihan as well, with Shelbourne and Nate. And this Chris Houlihan is a really talented trainer as well. Got a really nice kennel of grounds, and he's campaigned Shelbourne and Nate fantastically, and big player.
Classic winning trainer, of course, Chris Houlihan. He's had some really fast greyhounds, mostly carrying the Cashin prefix over the years. But Shelbourne Nate, it was a really professional sprinting display, Sarah. He hit the lids. He was there into the corner, drove the opening bend, and went on to win well by almost 3 lengths in 21:02.
Yeah, I think this is kind of his trip, isn't it? He seems to be loving Dundalk anyway, and he's running extremely well, 21:02. So, and to beat Ballymacroon as well, like we kind of all fell in love with that greyhound, didn't he? What was he going for, 9 or 10 in a row, I think it was, after that course and sweepstake he won. So he's a big 85-pound dog over a sprint. That's not easy either. Like, it's a big heavy dog, do you know what I mean? Especially around Dundalk. So lucky I can't take anything away from Shelbourne Nate. But there's a dog actually I just want to touch on. Maybe I for Peter Cronin. Really liked the look of him. 29:10. A very good performance. Don't think there's much on his card, so there's obviously more to come. And a lot of these dogs in this Bar 1 sprint, some of them have very little experience. There's loads to come. You know what I mean? And you never know, the track record might be rattled again. But Brody's magic. He has been missing the kick, but there's a lot of younger kind of dogs coming up now that he's going to have to deal with. So it's just a cracking competition this year. It has everything.
Yeah, Peter Cronin had a double, maybe I and Ella Supreme, both having to charge up the home straight to get there late. Corbrack Prince was another good winner. Barry for Robert Gleeson. He's a dog that's really taken to Dundalk. 21:13. It was towards the end of the evening. I wonder, was the track going a little bit slower? Because to the eye, it seemed as quick as some of those earlier heats. Ballymac Maxwell again, absolutely hammering home. You know, from the first bend to the line, there's very few faster greyhounds in the competition.
Yeah, he done savage running to finish second there. Look, I know you pointed him out last week as well. And I think we see him down in Cork one night doing a big run there over 3:30. He's a really fast ground, but look, doesn't get away quick enough. And in terms of maybe that was a ground they spoke about last week, won by William Rigney there, trained by Peter Cronin, another very fast ground. Didn't get the clearest of runs at the opening corner on Saturday night in 21:10. I think that can go faster than that as well. So another really nice ground.
I don't think I've ever called Willie by William. Have you, Sarah?
Say that again?
I don't think I've ever called William Rigney William. Willie
No,
Rigney.
Never.
He's a great doggy man.
Willie all the way.
Yeah. Oh, stop now, will you? He's a great doggy man. It's great to see him having one.
Yeah, sure. Look, and what was he had a winner Derby final night in Toaster, did he not, Willie? I think he did.
Is it all about Ted?
All about Ted.
All about Ted, yeah. All about Ted, yeah.
And look, I'm delighted to see him with a good dog because he's put so much into the sport, and with the sponsorship from Gain as well. It's fantastic to see him with a fast hound. So more luck to the man, and I hope he goes well and makes it all the way from to the final. But I hope he doesn't beat Agent Stanley.
A tremendous competition, lots to look forward to. The second round, or the third round, should I say, of that will take place on Saturday night. It's going to be a busy Saturday night, Sarah. You'll be at Shelbourne Park, bringing all the action live as it happens from Shelbourne via your various social media channels, doing great work for BoyleSports. Really looking forward to that decider. Barry, you'll be at Curraheen for the final of the Shelley Fenley, I assume?
That's exactly it. And it looks a battle between Billy Steve and Amazing Alice. So, it's going to be a great night in Curraheen Park, and just in terms of tonight, of course, fantastic racing in Thurles as well with the Centenary Agri Tipperary Cup. Second round, they had to wait a while there with the hot weather, but great to see that competition going ahead tonight. And the likes of Cabra Ava, who won the Champion Bitch Stake last year at the Thurles track for the Scally family, will be one of the leading fancies for outright glory. You know, Oggs here as well, ground that you're all very familiar with at Shelbourne Park, another leading player. But I think Cabra Ava could be the one that they'll all have to beat there on home turf there for that big competition, which is always the feature on the racing calendar at Thurles.
Yeah, it sure is. Thanks for that, Barry. Sarah, Saturday night, Shelbourne Park, it'll be all guns blazing.
Yeah, can't wait. Absolutely buzzing. I'll be there at about 5:30. I'll be grabbing everyone for pre-race interviews, and RPG TV will be there as well. So everyone at home that won't be able to go to Shelbourne Park and watch all the action on either RPGTV or myself. I'll be putting up plenty of content throughout the evening as well, and really excited. And we've some exciting news coming to Shelbourne Park as well. I won't tell you what it is, but just keep your eye on the kennelling area over the next few weeks. Can't wait to share it all with you.
I think you dropped out there for a brief moment. Basically, you were telling us something exciting is going to happen, and it's towards the kennelling area. Is it outdoors? Is it outdoor jacuzzis or something? Are we going to see Mert Lahey there sitting on the side of a jacuzzi with his chicken leg sitting into the water?
Yeah, and Carl Ramsbottom with his Crocs. No, it's a Prosecco bar. Oh no, I'm only joking. No, it's pretty cool. I'll put up a few sneak peeks when it starts, and you'll get the gist, Jen. But you probably already know, actually, but the listeners won't. So
you know me, Sarah. I hear the grass growing. Listen, folks, thanks very much indeed. Great week of racing just gone. Another fantastic week of racing just to come. Bob Catterson will be at Shelbourne Park on Saturday night for Racing Post TV. If you are going, up to you, avoid him or not, but he's going to be into doing anything that moves. I think Sarah's going to be doing something very similar. So lots of ways to keep up to date with the BoyleSports Champion Stakes. But that's it for us on Talking Dogs. Barry will be, his podcast will be released again as expected on Thursday morning. And of course, Rory at the weekend. He just did a great interview with Shane Dowling. It's well worth checking out. But that's it from us on Talking Dogs on Monday. We'll see you next time.